Okay, the minutes for the previous year was July 25th, 2010. The 59th Annual Hemphill Reunion began with President James Hemphill calling the group together and welcoming family and friends. The family hosts this year were the descendants and extended family of Grace Hemphill Marlowe. The opening prayer was offered by Grace's grandson, Mac Ingram. After the usual bountiful meal, President James called the meeting to order. Vice President Janice Hemphill Daves began with the reading of the names of the Hemphill family that had passed during the year. They included Patsy Roberts, who died in 2009. She was the daughter of the late Guy and Fanny Hemphill and granddaughter of Andy Hemphill. Christine Hemphill of Asheville died June 2010, part of the Thomas Hemphill family. Margaret Hemphill Anthony of Marion. Margaret was the daughter of Rodney and Maddie Hemphill and granddaughter of George Hemphill. Ray Hemphill offered up prayer in their memory and a moment of silence. James asked for visitors and first-time attendees to be recognized. We were happy to welcome Tim and Deborah Shields from South Carolina. Tim is a part of the Andy Hemphill family. Also, Darren Hemphill and his wife Margaret, who were recently married. They were married by Tim Holland. Darren is the grandson of Fritz Hemphill, and Tim is the grandson of Hicks Hemphill. Also attending for the first time were the Maddox family, which is part of the Hemphill family, and they were from Southern Pines, North Carolina. As new business, it was suggested by Bonnie Marlowe that a scholarship fund be established to help the Hemphill family members who want to further their education. There was some discussion concerning management and distribution of the scholarship and other issues involved with having a scholarship fund. President James suggested that more discussion would be needed and the issue was tabled for the time being. The treasurer's report was given by Donna Hemphill Robbins and accepted by the group. Donna suggested that everyone please keep in mind when giving that expenses of a union were always going up and we need to be able to pay our own expenses. Also, the hat was passed again for the cemetery fund. Those traveling the greatest distance to attend were many. Hemphill family coming from Houston, Texas, New York City, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, and other states. Donna Hemphill Robbins says she probably traveled the shortest distance. The oldest Hemphill attending was Joe Hemphill of Black Mountain, age 94, and here he is again this year, age 95. The youngest Hemphill in attendance was Torrey Maddox Roper, 9 weeks old, and he is still the youngest Hemphill here. He is the son of Carrie and Jerry Roper of Marion, and Torrey is the great-grandson of Hicks Hemphill. The secretary report was read by Nancy Smith and approved by the group. Don Hemphill gave a cemetery report. As always, he stated there were no complaints from the occupants and the grounds were in pretty good shape. In the absence of historian Terry Smith, the historic report was read by Robert Hemphill. Terry stated that due to work concerns, he would not be able to attend the reunions and would like someone else to do the historian work. He stated that he would continue to update the website, the family website, which is the NC Hemphills, but would need someone else to do the work of the historian. Terry suggested that several people could help input family data and keep records up to date. We would possibly be able to publish another family history book at some future time if we had all of the data inputted. Donna Robbins suggested that a person in each family group be designated to help gather data and record family members' stories and information. Someone remembered that Eugene Marlowe had some thoughts about the Hemphills and had written them down in the booklet form, and his wife Bonnie said she would try to locate it. The officers were elected for the coming year. A motion was made that the same slate of officers be appointed for another year, and they were President James Hemphill, Vice President Janice Hemphill Daves, Treasurer Donna Hemphill Robbins, and Secretary Nancy Smith. The announcements to the group included Red Leaf Day at Uncle Don's house to be the third Saturday in October at the North 40. And the Don Hemphill family were cooking and hosting. It was also announced that Tiffany Swinky, daughter of Gary and Nancy Swinky, great-granddaughter of George Hemphill, will be getting married in Hickory in October. And another announcement was made that Jean Anthony of New York and Marion have received her second master's degree in math. The family count was taken. There was a total of 73 in attendance. James thanked everyone for coming and urged everyone to hang around and talk and get acquainted. He thanked the host family of Grace Hemphill Marlowe for their efforts today. Eloise Marlowe Miller welcomed everyone on behalf of the host family, and she related a great story about her parents, George and Grace, and their Model T car. She ended by singing a beautiful rendition of Let Me Call You Sweetheart. She also told us that her niece Bonnie Jean was unable to attend, and her husband Scott. She asked for everyone's prayers for Scott, who is in Iraq at this time. James asked for all veterans in attendance to stand and be recognized. There were 9 veterans in attendance. To end the day, Jane Hemphill Williams suggested everyone stand and give the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag and a prayer for our country. The group adjourned to meet again the 4th Sunday in July 2011 with the descendants of Hugh Hemphill family as hosts.
Well done. Thank you. No one there wants to correct anything to you? They're going to stand. Good. We mentioned it. I know we'll try to move on here. We do need to get a cemetery report. You know, after signatures probably wouldn't like our problem there. It's not COVID. Hold on.
Hey, Don, they're calling you a cemetery report.
What else do you need to know?
I don't know how to talk about these things. You think so? Well, I think the cemetery is doing very well. The grass has been doing right well this year. It's been raining all spring, so it's been growing right well. We've kept it mowed down pretty good. But I've been taking care of, trying to, the cemetery for all my life, really. But the time has come that I'm not going to be able to do it. And I think we're going to have to start hiring somebody to do it, contract somebody, some professionals to take care of it. I could talk to you one-on-one, but I can't do this.
Go ahead and call on Donna to do it.
So we'll turn it back over to
Let Donna do it.
Donna take care of it.
Tell them how you used to take care of it. Tell them what your daddy used to do. They didn't have grass. I didn't know this until just this year. I thought grass grew forever. But he said, no, pasture grass was not in existence until after World War II, and the state got some grass seed to put on the side of the road, and eventually then farmers got grass. But prior to that, tell them what you had to do to take care of the cemetery.
They grew up in weeds and briars, box-head briars and salt briars, and I'd go with my daddy up there when I just figured out the wall. We'd spend the day up there. We scraped it down to the hard ground with a hoe and a mattock and a pitchfork, threw it out, and mounted up the graves, and took the mules and wagon, took white dirt up there. We found a place where you could dig white dirt out of the bank of the road. And we just dig that dirt out of the bank of the road, load it in the wagon, take it up there and put it on the graves, and mount them up and smooth it down. And we did that once a year, every memorial, a week before Memorial time. then I was about 19, in the early 50s, sometime in the 50s, the Klan here took over the cemetery, or talking about it and doing the business of it. And we decided to smooth it down, take a bulldozer and smooth it down and sow it in grass. And I've been mowing it ever since. And several times a year. Sometimes dry years you didn't have to do much. But in wet years, like this year, it's grown pretty good. You have to mow it a little more often. And I've been taking care of, having taken care of it for 80 years now.
The last time that I walked with Mr. Hemphills from our house, from his house up to the little cemetery, Don was on the mail at that time. We took a hoe and a mattock and a shovel, and we worked about a half a day. Got the graves pretty well fixed. And then by that time Don had come home, and I got the pickup, and we went around the dirt road and got some flowers, some wild flowers, and took back up to the cemetery and put out the graves. And then if you've been to the little cemetery, you know there's a cement wall around some of the graves. We sat there and talked for a while, and he said, and it's a beautiful scene. If you've ever been up there, it is a beautiful scenery around. And he said, one thing I'm real worried about. And I said, now what's that? And he said, when I'm gone, there'll be briars growing over the graves. So I reached over and hugged him, and I said, no, there won't be any briars. I said, not as long as the family exists. So he was a lovely, lovely, and I loved him very much. Thank you.
I don't know whether all of you are aware of it or not, but there's some more graves up there that we haven't been taking care of. The black folks from our ancestors. And it's grown up in the trees, it's out in the woods. And I think we ought to take care of them too. So,
Second the motion.
Might cost us a little bit to get it shaped up, but I think it ought to be done. I don't know how many there are, but it's been, the old road out through there has been dirt pushed off, and I'm thinking there's probably one or two that's covered up that we don't know about. But there's field stones markers to about 4 or 5 graves that we can see. And I think we ought to fix it up. Take care of them.
Well, could we make that in the form of a motion? No, I'm not president, sorry.
It's already done. Go ahead, you call for it.
Yeah, and I seconded it.
That's
Go
good.
ahead, Mr. President, I'm sorry.
No, you're doing well.
Can I make a comment? When Fritz and Daddy and Pete were alive, and I don't know who all else, but I know at least those and Uncle Don, got real involved in starting this Hempill Cemetery Fund, and I know Daddy's goal was that we would have enough money that the interest on that money would pay for the maintenance every year. And what'd you have, $2,000 this last year?
Yes.
We ought
We
to
won't
have.
have that next year.
No, I understand that, but that was the idea, was if we could just keep the principal in there, then it should make enough money. Well, now it's tougher times, so we need to put more into the principal today. You know.
You're exactly right. That's the
And I
way.
think we got confused when the plates went around, because I put my cash into one and it said cemetery fund, and I've got a check for the cemetery fund. And I didn't get any in, and then I didn't get any in the other fund.
We've got enough for expenses, so we, you know, I
Okay.
thought, I haven't counted it, but I can tell there's enough in expenses. And I was gonna say, we have this plate over here, and I'm sure some people didn't get a chance.
It
to
is
visit
marked
it.
cemetery fund, for those who
And
can.
that one looked real
And did you,
slim.
and did you steal the money
Looked a
out
little
of it?
skinny, didn't it?
It had
You
some
can
money
fix
in
it.
it, we'll have to ask.
We'll send it back in case it missed you.
In case it missed
First
you,
time
this is
through.
for the cemetery.
Oh, Robert, the,
James, I'm
All
sorry.
my life, not a problem.
James, I'm sorry. The Hugh
My
Hemphill
mother did
family
that.
donated everything that we have had today as supplies is donated by our family, and we've always done that.
we will not turn any bills.
Thank you, ma'am.
We have a motion on the floor, don't we?
The cemetery, I have located I'll get it started again. The landscaping company that does the Montbrico Cemetery has been doing a great job up there, and so I contacted them, and it's Robbins Landscaping, no relation to my husband, but they agreed to cut it for $50. That includes mowing it, weed eating it, and blowing off the graves. $50 per. I think that is more than a reasonable fee. So with your permission, we will contact them. And they said, we don't need a contract. You just call us when you want it mowed, and we'll do it. And so that sounded very good to me, and we will start that with your permission.
I move that we accept that.
But we have a motion already.
Yep, all right, we'll come back. Okay, but I'll ask a question of the first motion. What will be the plan for cleaning up the area for the black graves?
Good question.
Because Don said there were some trees, and I remember walking out there, and there are some trees. So we're gonna have to hire somebody to do that?
There are not very many trees on the actual graves that are large, 2 or 3. The smaller trees, Dad and I can take care of. We can get rid of the smaller trees on the graves. We decided that it would be probably best to leave it in the wooded area. It would cut down on maintenance, not to plant it in grass, but to clean it up, cut the trees off the graves, and just leave it as is. But we might need a little marker out in the main cemetery pointing to, so that people who wanted to go there could find it. I found something in a book. I thought this was just really neat, and I don't even know what book, but I made a copy of the page several years ago, and it said, someone was working on the Morgan genealogy, and they said, we should mention that we have located a small, well-kept cemetery off of Cove Road. We don't know the name of the cemetery, but we think it might be called Hemphill Morgan from the names of the graves in it. And I thought, we need a sign. We need a sign that says Hemphill Morgan Cemetery. So there's a few things that we could spend the money on. But that's the maintenance for the slave graves. It's just the removal of a few large trees and clean up.
Is that all that? Anything else?
Anything else?
Just a removal of a few large trees, and you and I can do the little trees.
Yeah, well, I think, I believe we ought to leave the trees that are there, that are growing.
Right, except not on the grass.
Except that, well, there might be one on the edge of the grave, and I still think we'll leave it.
But anything else need doing?
Yeah, well, yeah, where they push that dirt out there, but I think we can take care of it. I believe you and me can, James, we can fix it, I believe. We just wanted to let them know that we've got it and what's out there. But I think we can take care of it all right.
Okay, I've absolutely forgotten the motion that's on the floor.
To fix the slave graves with whatever we can.
That was the motion?
With whatever we can't do on our own
Whatever expense.
Yeah, I would say that the motion you read that we authorize you to do that and submit a bill to the family for any cost that you incur. Fair enough?
And the cemetery fund should cover.
And the cemetery fund should cover it.
interest.
And we've got, it's been seconded. All those in favor of that, or do you have any questions? Everybody's good with that? You just say aye. Raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay, so, there's any no's? Did I get us? Don, we can't say thank you enough. There's no way. We thank you.
Well, that's good enough.
Now, do we need a motion for Donna and Don to contract with these people, the Robbins people, to do the maintenance now that Don can't do it?
Yes.
Let's accept that in the form of a motion, and there's a second. All those in favor of contracting to have this stuff done? Thank you.
Let's get it off of Uncle Don's shoulder.
Yeah.
When you Janice will explain to him that, the clubhouse.
Go ahead. That was a good time. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, I didn't know I was going to get to talk again, but here I am. My name is Apple Virginia Connor Hemphills. But some of you little boys couldn't say Apple, so you gave me a nickname. You started calling me Nanny, and then everybody started calling me Nanny. So Aunt Rose said one day to me, she said, Apple, don't let them call you Nanny. She said, it sounds too much like Granny. And I said, well, they can call me Granny. I said, it's okay. I love Granny. So I have got the name Nanny. But anyway, what I was going to tell you about, the lady that had the key to the clubhouse, her name was Carol. And she has helped the family a lot because she's a real nice person. But her husband got sick and she had to give it up. So she gave it up, I believe, year before last. And I was so busy, I didn't know. I thought Carolyn still had the key to the clubhouse. So when Jane called, I gave her directions how to go to Carol's house to get the key to the clubhouse. And Donna called me yesterday morning and she told me that Carolyn didn't have the key any longer. So she told me that Kay Allen Connor has it. And she is the one that bought Aunt Dot's beauty shop in Rutherford. And she lives 2 little houses, white houses, this side of Gilkey Baptist Church here. So if, for you, all of you that will be hosts, Carol don't have the key, so don't call me. I'm sorry that, oh yes, and I'm sure that, oh yeah, what I was going to tell you about my name. I figured my name was Mud now. So that's okay, if you won't call me Mud, I'll answer. But we do appreciate everything, and we love you. You're a great family. Thank you so much.
I think I was 50 before I knew she had another name than Nanny. Okay, let's move on here because we're getting late in the time here. We do need to elect officers. We got a historian report. Nancy, do we have a historian report? No? Okay. We're a year older. How's that?
That's good.
Yeah, okay. Election of officers. Hearing the minutes last year, we suggested we simply re-elect the officers. That's not to be on the table this year. We'll have to come up with another motion. And in the Hemphills tradition, Janice moves up from vice president to president next year. Donna and Nancy are going to stay on for another 35 years. We can't be replaced. We can't run this place.